All right, welcome back. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Bandstra, who's the head football coach at Bradford High School in Ohio. Coach, what's up?
Coach, the man, the myth, the legend. More like just a myth, but yeah, we'll go with that.
You're the big YouTuber. We literally just talked about it like 15
I'm
seconds
not.
ago.
Still don't even start with that because that's all. Um, the big YouTubers is Coach Mac, the other Coach Mac. I think those are the two big ones.
Well, one of them doesn't even really do it anymore.
No, he doesn't. Oh no, he'll do one occasion, like he did one with Kadudi the other night, just out of the
That's true.
blue.
That's true.
And then like Mac obviously does all his stuff, and then I mean, there's several others. Like I'm just one of a. I mean, Kenny still does some of his stuff. Rick Stewart's got a big area in his little world. I
Yeah.
mean, the Flexbone stuff. He'll start putting stuff out here and there, and so like I'm just one of many, and I'm on the lower end. I mean, if you're looking at just subscriber account,
No, I'm the low end. I'm the big time low end. Um, but Coach, first year at your new school, you guys look like you had a good year. What happened? Good year,
we,
first year.
well, I mean, it helps when you convince all the athletic kids to come play. That's good. B, it helps when you don't have a league technically this year, so you can schedule other teams that are in your similar boat or that are just you have a chance to win. So I mean, you add those two factors. I mean, you make the playoffs first time since 2012, after not having really a varsity team the year before. But I mean, it's just I mean, it's it. I mean, players win. Coaches just need not to mess it up. Like I mean, when you have athletes, it's easier than it should be. Like than when you don't have athletes, and they bought in and they played well, and for the most part, we stayed healthy. I mean, we fell off kind of at the end, in part because we got hurt, and we're banged up. I mean, it happens when you have a 30-man team.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, we did good, and like I said, proud of our kids. They had a good year. They had fun. I'm trying to design new jerseys for next year, because we're on the cycle and kind of going from there.
Oh, do you have to fundraise for those, or does the school help?
Most of it is taken care of by our boosters.
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
so like I actually meet with them at the end of the month. We'll figure out what our budget is, and so if I want anything more expensive than that, or the kids really want to push for nicer stuff, then we might have to fundraise a little bit. But like I said, I've openly told this, like we have black and white jerseys right now. My goal is to just replace the really bad ones with the current version,
Hmm.
design orange ones, have a set of oranges, and then get some good home and away pants.
Hmm.
We don't have really a good pair of pants right now, so I want to put that in, get that in there, and that way we're kind of good. And I think that would be a little more affordable. Um, so yeah.
So first year, we talked before. I think you had just gotten the job, maybe shortly after. I can't remember. Um, how was it installing what you wanted as a head coach? I know culture is the buzzword. I don't want to use that word no more, but I don't know what else to use. How did people adapt to what you were bringing to the table? What you wanted to do, weight room wise, speed wise? Was there any pushback, or was it just, hey, here's the keys, go?
I mean, we had a lot of buy-in. Like I said, from a school that didn't have enough kids to have a varsity team before to having playing 9 out of 10 games in the regular season that were possible, and then making a playoff game, and they bought in. Like I said, I don't think there was. I mean, there's some weight room stuff that had to be changed and fixed. That has been fixed since then, and it helps a lot. And also, new powerlifting staff has altered some things and cleaned that up and fixed what they wanted to fix as well. Um, I mean, on the field didn't have any problems. I mean, it's nice when you have a good senior group.
Hmm.
Like, because I've had both as a head coach. I've had the bad senior group and I've had the good senior group. And I mean, when you talk about a group of men who truly make good husbands, fathers, some that are just natural good leaders, like it makes it easy. Next year I want to work. Like, because we lose a lot of leadership. Like I have one or two, and I'm trying to like I want to do a lot more leadership stuff. Like we did some culture stuff at the beginning of the summer, but I didn't really have to do too much culture wise. And next year I'll have to do a lot more. That's becoming more and more apparent. Um, given recent events. And but I mean, just kind of figure out what's best. I mean, it's also hard to do some of the culture stuff that I want to do just because so many of our kids are in their sports. Like
Yeah.
I think I have high school. They're going to play high school football next year. That I know for sure are going to play high school. Like 6 kids that aren't in a sport right now. They're either in powerlifting or in
Wow.
basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's so like those kids will lift with me and do stuff, but most of them are either in powerlifting or basketball. So like, and there isn't much free time to do other stuff. And baseball does some stuff on the weekends too. So, and they're the next sport up. And I try to support our baseball program as much as I can because I love our baseball coaches. They push kids to play football. So I'm definitely going to help them in however I can. And if they need time right now to do stuff and it delays me to push back to do stuff, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Um, so it sounds like it was pretty easy fitting for you to get there and not have to. If you have support systems, it makes your life a lot easier. I've been a part of both bad support systems and good support systems. The bad ones, they want you to do more with less, and that causes gray hairs and stress and all that type of stuff. So that's why your hair's long right now. You got this flowing mane going, so you're all good.
Darn it, man.
The Arnett mane, that's what we're gonna call it. You should text him right now at the same time, be like, you got the Arnett mane going on.
I need to get them on is what I need to do. And I don't even care about like when we talked about this on my podcast earlier. Like I don't even care if it's about football. I just like talking to John Arnett. He's funny, and he's by far like one of the smartest guests you'll have. Like obviously being a chemistry teacher and all that jazz, but like he's just he's just the smartest guy in the room most of the time. So yeah, it would be nice to um have him on. But yeah, I mean it's just I mean, you can go back with your question. Like that just got me on a small tangent.
Oh yeah, no, I'm texting him right now. Coach Bandstra has what I call the Arnett mane going on.
I'll text him too. It's just
This is great radio, but I don't care.
yeah. I mean, this is exciting viewership right here.
Um, so it doesn't have to be scheme. You come in, I know you are a person that's all over the place in scheme. You've done it all.
Unfortunately,
What
I think the
what
only thing I haven't run is single wing.
well, what I mean by that is like you're kind of like me. You talk to all these coaches all over the country and you just get all this information and you kind of want to try it. What worked best for you guys this year from what because I feel like in public schools, especially like we only had 30 some two on varsity. Like if we rolled in with 37, we were feeling pretty good about ourselves, but we stayed healthy this year. What kind of scheme or stuff worked for you guys this year? We're not looking to next year, but like this year, what worked and what didn't?
Um, I mean, we started off running a lot of duo and buck sweep, and then kids got hurt. And when you have injuries at center and guards, it's kind of hard to run buck sweep.
Hmm.
Uh, just calling it space bait, and we started playing some better teams at the end too. Like I mean, Tri Village we played is good. I mean, they what third round of playoffs I think, and like I mean they're running back at 5 touchdowns in one of the playoff games. Like,
Hmm.
dude's an athlete. And also played my linebacker for him. So I mean, obviously problem. And then as the year went on, I think we ran a little bit more wide zone, and zone toss. I mean, our ground game sucked. I'm not gonna call it like first half of the year it was on, and then injuries hit, and people's knees started hurting and swelling, and we were a lot more a throwing team to be honest. I mean,
Yeah, there we go.
our quarterback was a third leading thrower in the league, second team All State in Division Seven as no, it's not second team All Southwest. He was not All State, but we had a receiver that was second team All State. Like I mean, like we threw. I mean, he's the second leading receiver in our league. Like going into the playoffs, I think he ended up getting passed because of playoff stats like third. But um, yeah, we had. I mean, we had athletes and we could throw the ball, and pass pro wasn't bad despite how little we worked on it. Um, but yeah, I mean we try a little bit of everything. I don't run wide zone. I mean, I don't run inside zone. Um, I just I'm not smart enough to teach it well, and I'll just get frustrated. And because I've tried inside zone before, and it just makes me angry. just not a good enough O line coach. I also know what type of O line, in my personal opinion, you need for it compared to what the O line that we have and the D line that we see. And like I said, I don't, despite having 18,000 videos or whatever on my channel and a bunch of them being about inside zone, I don't feel educated enough to run it. I've just been a gap scheme guy outside. I mean, wide zone's easy for me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I've listened to Kadudi, Arnett, Rudolph, and a couple other guys so much that they've like dumbed it down for me to the point where it's easy to teach steps and all that stuff. But then I go around and listen to Rudolph talk inside zone, and my head starts swimming because there's
Yeah.
18,000 checks and adjustments, and like my head starts hurting. So, yeah, I mean, we pretty much ran quite a few things. We couldn't get trap to go, which sucked. Um, but I mean, wide zone worked a little bit for us at times. Duo did. Um, and Buck was really the first half of the year before injury kind of took it. Like I'm gonna talk Buck next week at the Wings and Things clinic. Kind of some formations that we ran out of it, but yeah.
How did duo go? Because on yours, I kind of said we did it, then got rid of it. I don't know what
Um,
happened. I don't know what happened with us. It just never worked in the sun. We just did it in the summer, never worked.
it was okay. I mean, I'm not by far not a master teacher at it. Um, I think we probably could have ran out some formations that would have made it a little more conducive. Um, we kind of, I mean, we tried some stuff with it. It just didn't really hit the way we wanted it to, but it was a solid play for us. Like it didn't really ever lose us yards. Kind of like that's why NFL teams run it. Like it's not
Mhm.
going to pop like some other plays, but you're not going to lose anything.
Right.
Um, I mean, part of the reason we installed it because I mean we couldn't get ISO or belly to work, and so we just put in duo and double teamed a lot up front and made it work. So
Well,
yeah,
you can run inside zone that way. Same thing.
no, sorry.
Like I
Well,
said,
the other thing we got to work towards the end of the season, we started running some power read with our quarterback because his ankle healed up, and I mean that allowed us. I mean, really, power read's the reason we won week 10, and got us a better playoff spot was um, running power read because they had
mhm.
some issues with it. The quarterback just took off because he's a athletic freak.
Well, that's what we did. We told our quarterback you were not allowed to really run on inside zone because we want you to carry out fakes. We want to set it up later on, second round of the playoffs. They had a Division 1 defensive end recruit, and second half, I told the OC this kid's got to start running. So he started keeping it and running, and that's why we did it. Wide zone and toss were our best plays this year. Like inside zone was just always that play. Wide zone and traditional sweep, like toss, pulling guys, uh, was our best play by far.
Yeah.
Like we broke it down. We had to go and tag every single run play we did. And every time I saw wide zone and toss, it was just like we got something, whether it was back to line of scrimmage or whatever it was. And we had a kid cut back on wide zone all the way to the backside A gap. And he comes over to me and he goes, I'm sorry that I went that far back. And I was like, that's what you're supposed to do. This is what's supposed to look like. I want everything going this way and you come back. And it was easy.
Yeah, I think our biggest I've skimmed it. Like I haven't I because we're going to make some changes, and I'm not going to get into that. But I know wide zone would probably if you're looking at our explosive plays, wide zone I know was up there pretty much for most of them off the top of my head. And I think like a zone toss, which is wide zone blocking, we just tossed it. And there's like one buck sweep that was really long.
Yeah.
So,
One
but
game, one game we scored 3 rushing touchdowns off a toss, I think.
yeah,
Oh, you would have loved us, Coach Bandstra. Like I said, we ran the ball more than anything. We would pass when we needed to. A lot of it was boot game. We faked the wide zone and run boot off of it. But, you know, it is what it is.
yeah,
And then we had one word run plays for us that worked really well off the power and the shifts and stuff like that. It was fun. Fun running the football. You never
yeah.
thought I'd say that 4 years ago, but It was.
No, we were in a lot of doubles, trips, and empty. I mean, at various times, like that's just who we kind of. I mean, when you got a bunch of athletic kids, that's what you're going to do. Like that were a receiver body types. I mean, like I said, it's just. I mean, we ran certain pass comps to death. I mean, it's no secret we're going to run smash.
Mhm.
I mean, we got a plethora of ways to do that. And our state kid got second team all state, pretty much running the hitch on smash a lot and doing a lot of stuff and just getting yards after catch. I mean, he's probably one of the most natural kids I've ever had with Yak. I mean, he'd get the ball and he'd get upfield and go. And I love the kid. I wish I could sell him to some colleges because he has the frame to play worst case D2 or
Mhm.
NAIA receiver DB. Like he's long, lengthy basketball kid, also does baseball. Like family's great. Like it's just awesome.
Um, Coach Arnett said that's awesome. That's what he
I think
told
he
me.
just texted me back too.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted you to know that he said that's awesome. And then here I am with my hair is a receding hairline. But I want it to be on record that this receding hairline has been here since I was like 19 and it hasn't moved. So I'm still okay.
Well, that was my thought. Like because I talked to John last spring or late winter. I don't remember when it was. And like he's talking about why he was growing it out and it thinning and last chance, and he's never done it because that's his household. And I've done it really like 12, 200 times in my life. I've had longer hair. I had like when I was really young, like I was like 4, 5, 6 years old.
Right.
A senior year of high school, I grew out my hair and bleached it, which was a terrible life choice. It looked terrible. Um, I burned all those pictures. Um, and so I was like, maybe I should do it right this time. And so I'm just like, because it is starting to thin, and my hairline has receded a little bit, not much, but especially when I become a head coach, it's gone back a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I'll just grow it out. I'm not going to dye it. I'm just going to let it grow.
Right.
I might like I'll just let I started that in June, and it's here now, and I'm going to just see where it goes. I've jokingly told the kids I might just mullet it and make it a full like
Yes.
I might Mike Gunny it like full on, and
Yes.
but we'll like I'm gonna wait till like August to make that final choice. But like right now, it is where it is. Like I comb it to where it kind of looks mullety anyways. But I've considered like cutting it to a mullet and permanent and just going full Mike Gundy. And
Yes. Take it back to 1998, baby. Here we go.
well, I've thought about getting those old varsity jackets that head coaches wore in the '90s. Those like
Oh, that'd be
colorful.
so hot.
I know, but we've talked as a staff, and we're kind of like, yeah, like
Are you
so
gonna do
that's on the radar.
are you gonna do the cotton socks up to the kneecaps and
Oh no,
stuff
I
like
ain't
that?
that. No, but the jackets would be cool.
I
They'll
mean,
start.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the short shorts and the long socks. No, that ain't happening.
I hope my head coach doesn't do that because I wear what I want on the sideline. I wear what I want. I'm that guy. I don't care if I'm opposite of everybody. I'll wear what I want. And you know what our head coach told me? Well, that's because you're the old line coach. So you wear whatever you want. That happened at the 7-on-7 this year. We went to the Chicago Bears one they put on. The top 8 win money. There's a lineman challenge and your 7-on-7 tournament for 2 days. And they get you, every coach gets an authentic Bears shirt. And they wanted everybody to put it on that first day. And I looked at the head coach. I said, I ain't putting it on. I'm going to sweat my ass off. I'm keeping my Under Armour Addison Trail shirt on. And he goes, and the other coach was like, but they told us to put it on. I was like, I don't care what they told us to do. I'm keeping this on. Because our offense coordinator was in Europe for 2.5 weeks. So I was the OC for these 7-on-7s. And I said, I have to call plays. I'm going to be sweating. And he goes, you're an O-line coach. You wear what you want anyway. And so that's just kind of how it started. So sometimes in games, everybody's wearing blue. I'm in gray or vice versa. I'm like, as long as I'm comfy, I don't give a shit what you say. So that's why if you told me to wear that, Coach Bandstra, I'd be like, no, that ain't happening. No, no, sir. Um, what was I going to ask you? Um, so your feed the cat stuff has gone well. Nothing to
Well,
really.
I'm virtually all in. I mean, the speed and I mean, we didn't condition once this year. I can full fat
Love it. Love it.
like not one time, and kids love it. Like I have kid and that are like in other sports right now, and they're like, oh God, I miss football. I'm like, yeah, we don't run a lot. Like I time stuff throughout the week, especially in summer and in the off season. Like in season, I'm a little different than Dixon. Like I don't necessarily time twice 200 times a week, but
Mhm.
like 'cause Mondays we still got a lot of sore kids,
Yeah.
and there's many reasons for that. So we weren't as, and there's some things I'm changing, so maybe we can time a little bit better during the season. But yeah, we time 40s, 10s. I've had 20s this year. We can't really do 3 cone right now just because of the weather. It's cold as
Mhm.
crap outside. And our floors are too slippery inside to do that. Like to change direction stuff. I don't
Yeah.
want to tear an ACL. Um, weight room, I'm still working on modifying, mixing feed the cats with what I want. And our powerlifting program do some good stuff that I might just steal and just leave there and just kind of meld the two. But yeah, I mean, like we don't during the summer we don't do any Friday, Saturday, Sundays. In season, I think we only did half Saturdays, like half of what we did Saturday, we either played a game or had the kids come in. The other
Yeah.
half we did. I'm leaning towards next year not having to come in at all on Saturday. Like I don't know if I'm gonna make that full bullet, but I'm pretty close. Um, like my only fear, my only thing probably not doing Saturdays at all is they seem to be a little more sore and stiff on Monday. And if I could find a way to make sure they move a little bit better on the weekend, I might go that full there. Other than that, like I mean, we time everything, we publish it. Kids beg to run 40s or run something and talk about how they're going to be faster than somebody. And then I try to like on Twitter and on our team app that we use. I post a leaderboard every week. Who's the top 5 from that week and that one, and then I put a little green arrow if it's a new PR.
Hmm.
That kid. Yeah, I mean, we took 2 weeks off. We did nothing during Christmas break. Absolutely zero. First time I've ever truly done that. Like, not even offered to open it up. And I came back and 4 kids set PRs. Like
Nice.
before we went to break, we had 18 PRs set that day between 10s, 20s, and 40s. Like, I mean, so I mean, we're getting faster. I'm not nearly as fast as I want to be compared to last year. I mean, I got a gift. Like they were just
Right.
athletic, really good kids. I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but and then I am super big in buying protein for the kids. I fundraise to buy protein. Like, and the kids love it, and kids ask when we want to get more of it. I got battery packet, protein powder, like because I mean I mean I'm gonna call space bait. We are in a low socioeconomic district. We are the
Yep.
smallest school district in the state of Ohio that plays football. We have some families that have money, and we have other families that are very low income, and
Yep.
they don't understand how to eat properly or eat enough, or they don't have the means to eat enough. So, like I said, I'm trying to make sure that we take care of them. Do like I'll pass out candy bars, I'll pass out protein bars during the day, especially to athletes. Like even if they don't play football, like just the athletes,
Yep.
because like I don't want to. I want to see you be successful in everything you do, and like I said, I mean, I'm fully in. I'll occasionally tag Tony Holler and some of the stuff I post on Twitter, and he probably gets annoyed at it, but I still do it anyway, just because I like Tony.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he
And
cares. I think he likes it because then people are seeing it. I don't think he cares.
yeah, and like I said, I think he wants to. He doesn't want dumb coaches, and I think the coaches. I tell people all the time, this isn't 1995 anymore. Like just running the run doesn't do me any good. Like everything is specific. Um, I altered our practices a lot this year to be more focused on certain things and speed development. And like I said, we didn't do any conditioning. We only did pursuit drill a couple of times, and that was the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
and that's just to understand lanes. I mean, I'll probably do a little bit more of it this year just because we had some issues there. But like, I mean, I'm not. I am done with mindless conditioning. And to my other point, just look at the NFL. How many Achilles injuries have we had this year?
Yeah.
And they still like college has started figuring out like some people are all the way in, some people are kind of half in. They'll do lots more speed and agility, and but there's still some conditioning. But they've gotten better about it. I think my personal opinion, and I could be wrong, but a lot of NFL teams are still behind the times in terms
Mhm.
of some of that stuff and how to work bodies. And I think you're seeing, I mean, the AFC has like five quarterbacks who are the same day one starters between benching and injuries. I think out of 16 teams in the AFC, like 10 or 11 of them are on a backup quarterback.
Yep.
That's a problem. And
Yep.
that's your supposed to be your best position in a sport. That's a problem.
Yep. Um, we're that school that or a team that's kind of half in, half out because our head coach played linebacker at North Central College. He'll be the first one to tell you like it bothers him if we do less. Like it just feels weird and he's not used to it. And I told him that's fine. I'm not used to it either. Our strength coach worked at Northwestern. Our flex period looks just like Northwestern's. And every single day in practice, I walked out there and I looked at the head coach. I said, this flex period is stupid. And he'd be like, why is it stupid? And I'm like, well, we're out here for 10, 15 minutes and we're doing these weird movements and we're going up and down the 20 yards back and forth. And I'm like, why are we doing this? This makes no sense to me. So every day I complained. Every day I walked out there, this is stupid. This is stupid. And finally he goes, what else should we do? And I'm like, just go to your position coach and move around a little bit. That's all we need to do. We don't need to do this static
So,
Frankenstein walk stuff.
so our pregame, and I'm going to shorten it even more. Like, I'm still think it's too long. But like our warm, we didn't do the old static stretching or the old lines. Like we did, came out, did our speed warm up, which is like 80% of what Tony Holler does.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't do some of the jumps on grass or outside during the season just because
Yeah.
of the impact. My personal opinion could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not a science teacher.
Yeah.
Um, but I talked to Elton Kroc, who started his own like kind of like Joe Rogan strength podcast. So be a good
Okay.
one for you to talk to. His Twitter is the Croc Show. His podcast was like February, March. I don't remember when I scheduled it, but I reached out to him wholly just solely to talk to him about his pregame, and that's probably half the podcast because he's out there doing it's like a circuit, and their warm up is like med ball slams, band stretches, some like carry up. It's like very feed the cats esque.
Hmm.
Like sport, like it's 90 seconds. You gotta get two sets in, you and a partner, and go and you warm your body. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I like that because my goal is to get our pregame under an hour this year, and I'm probably gonna try to get later and later to schools. Like I just think we waste too much time, and I warm them up, and then they get like it just I don't know. It just I don't. There's better ways, and I'm not to that point where we're going to just modify it even more.
Yeah. Um, mm, I got some of them to buy in of like what less is and everything else. So for me personally, I just said, hey guys, this may not work. You don't want to do this feed the cats type of thought mentality. I am. And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to look and see because our kids have to go both ways. So I'm like, I'm going to look and see what you're doing on defense, what we got planned for offense, and I'm going to dictate what my individual time is. And the head coach goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, okay, let's say defensive line today, you're not going to hit very much an individual. You're doing all hand fighting, you're doing whatever. Then for me, maybe we will hit more quote unquote, not one on ones, but it's just more thudding, I guess. But if you guys are thudding down there, doing inside run for defense, team for defense, blah, 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 then when we get to offense, if we're also doing inside run, we're not hitting during individual whatsoever. We're going to use hand shields. We're not going to go 100. And he goes, but you're supposed to hit. And I'm like, I get that. But if we're going to turn around and have them do two sets of inside run and two sets of team and they're hitting, why would I hit an individual time?
Well, the other thing, like, I've never seen a Harding practice, but I've talked to people and they keep telling me that there's very low contact in a Harding
Mhm.
practice. And last I checked, they just rushed for over 6,000 yards and won a D2 national title. And I'm not like, I mean, their defense is really good. And their offense obviously ran for 6,000 yards. But last I checked, none of their like offensive players are like 5-star recruits.
Right.
Like they're winning with D2 and D3 kids. And but my understanding, there's a lot of bag work, there's a lot of pod work, and it's not much contact. And somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I was told by some people in the flexbone world when I do some of these podcasts. And it was like, we didn't do much contact time. Now, part of it is we only got 30 kids and we're a small school, but
Yeah.
their thing is like, there's our ways to do stuff. Like, get your contact in when you need it, but like, you can be more efficient. Like, now I will also say feed the cats is my you look at a lot of these feed the cats high school teams, there's not many two-way guys. There are some,
Hmm.
and some you have more, but a lot of them are as much one way as possible. Like the last 3 weeks of the season, I didn't let I mean my O lineman maybe played a grand total, all five of them combined, like 12 snaps on defense the last 3 weeks. I was like, nope, we're done. You're done playing defense.
Hmm.
Between injuries and just overall rest and our ability to talk to you on the sideline, not doing it.
Right. Right. You know,
And to be honest, that might be a lot this year. Like a lot of our offensive linemen, I'm probably going to say, hey, you're not going to start on defense. If they get inside like the 30, you'll probably go in. But otherwise, I would rather have a rested, good O line, and we may or may not cut more this year.
yeah. But what ended up happening was our kids struggled with it at first because they were so used to me saying like we're gonna hit when I'm pissed off, you're gonna do up downs and blah 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 blah. And I got away from it. So what I did was if they just didn't want to, if they were half-assing something, I said, I want you to go over there, sit down in the corner in the crouch position and watch. Like that's what I would do. And that's probably against every ethical thing you've ever thought of. But I'm like, go over there, sit down and watch. And my senior that I talked about in yours, like since he was a sophomore, he looked at me and he goes, "This, what are you doing?" He looked at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, this is different. I'm a new guy." "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I want to do one-on-ones. I want to hit." And I was like, "Okay, when we get to inside run, go hit. Go hit." And I remember like week 4 or 5. And I looked at the old line at halftime and I'm like, how do we feel at halftime of a game? And they go, we feel great. And I'm like, maybe there is something to what's going on. And like, there was a couple teams that had more kids than us, but we just end up wearing down somehow. And not saying we were, I'm not talking, I did not have world beaters at O line. No offense to them. They know. But like, we had your average O lineman, some small. I had one big kid. We just kept going and going and going. Not saying we were physically dominating them, but eventually the other kids had their hands on their hips and my guys were just standing there. Like, so I think there was something to it. But it took a lot more planning. I have to look and see what the D line's going to do that day. I got to look and see, you know, can I give them breaks here and there? Do they get extra water breaks? Or, hey, because I know we do the dumb flex thing at the beginning. If I have offense first, they do the flex thing first. Well, they're already moving. So why come to me and do something that's going to extort them? So maybe when they come down to me, hey, we're going to walk through more of what the defense is going to do to us for 5 or 10 minutes to reset our bodies, just to kind of refresh ourselves. Then do that. So it took a lot more planning, a lot more uncomfortability, a lot more. I guarantee people watch us. They're not hitting pregame. I used to do a lot of hitting. They come down and all this is all we would do pregame. Hey, just review your inside zone step, wide zone step. Hey, we're going to walk through the play really quick. Hey, Coach Steve gives some inspirational talk that they've never heard before. Go to the sideline and get water. We would literally
Yeah.
stay on the sideline for 5 or 10 minutes and just watch the guys throw the football at the right receivers. We just stood there. And people, I guarantee, were like, what are they doing? And I'm like, we are resetting ourselves right now. Why get all hyped up and move around? Makes no sense to me. And not saying it helped a lot. Maybe it did, but I felt better about it. And I told the coaches, think about when we all played. We all get tired before a game. And then now we got to go play. It makes no sense. And it got to the point where some of the receivers and stuff were like, well, I want to go be with Coach Steve. And I'm like, yeah, you're not a lineman, though. You got to be a man. Come on. Like,
Well, going back to this, I think this is where my team struggled. Like, actually, I think our school struggled in all. Like that's the change. Like, because a lot of people will like somebody gets in trouble at school or somebody does something stupid. Oh, they're gonna run. Are they gonna do this? No, they don't run with me. Like, you get in trouble because I also got just annoyed of just watching kids jog when you tell them to run.
right.
At 70% need. So they just roll now and roll the field and they get itchy and they get nauseous because if they do something really dumb, they're gonna roll several hundred yards and hate their
Mhm.
life. And I had one kid get in a lot of trouble. And it's the first time he'd ever been in trouble, but he did something really stupid, which I can't say. But his dad told me make his life suck. Like, okay. So he rolled a lot that day and it was unpleasant. And yeah, I mean, it's just is what it is. Like, I don't like, I care more about speed and being rested than I do about most other things. And I say that all the time in class because people talk to me about things. I'm like, speed kills, speed wins.
Yeah.
Like, I want you stronger, but the biggest thing, if we can shave, if I can turn a 5'2" kid into a 4'9" kid, or a 5'8" kid into a 5'5" kid, like in an off season, then we're on a good track.
Well, that's why we're not full feed the cats. Like we're not doing some of those things during the season. We weren't doing a lot of that. It was just a lot more of like I talked to the OC and I would say, "Hey, today just do all quick games so we know that they're not getting full speed." And then the next day, "Hey, now you do your deeper routes. They could be full speed." And I think he started to buy into some of that and splitting things in half. Um, I don't care what defense did because I didn't coach defense, so I could care less what they were doing. And but the funny thing is, Chris Corfus, who started the RPR thing with Holler, our head coach was around him for like a year and a half at a different school, and he did track. And so when we get back from Christmas break next week, me and the head coach are going to talk again, see if we can't find the money. We may go get the RPR certified and get him more involved, our head coach, and then kind of slowly feed into full churn into it. Um, but I think I may have to end up becoming, we have a strength guy, but I may have to like be more involved with him in the speed stuff. And so I may have to game plan all this. So now I'd have to be the O-line coach, run game coordinator, social media guy, and the speed guy. So it's just churning into for no extra pay, obviously. So it's just churned into everything.
That I mean, I would like to. That's one thing we don't do is RPR, obviously, and I would like to learn more about it before I try to implement it and get trained in it. But that's a whole nother
Yeah.
animal.
Well, that because like talking to when I first talked to Coach Dixon and everybody knows that's what their warm up is. They go out there, they do RPR, and they're good to go. That's their warm up, and
Yeah, they
that's
run a couple offensive plays, and that's about it.
that's for
Like,
show.
yeah,
And so my buddy Coach West, he is full on feed cats, RPR, and track. Now football, he's slowly getting them there. He told me RPR a couple years ago. I said, "What is it?" He goes, "It's black magic." And I was like, "What do you mean it's black magic?" He was like, "Steve, you pull your hamstring, I'll reset you. You'll be back running in 2 days." Like it's just this amazing thing. My
yeah.
back hurts all the time. And he goes, "Steve, if it's your muscles, I can fix you." I'm like, "What do you mean fix me?" He goes, "You could just come down to my house, lay on my table, I'll fix you." And I'm like, "No, no, I don't trust what's going on." Um, but me and him might get paid, but there's like 3 levels. It's expensive.
I know that's the thing with it, like expensive, and then finding a class, and then all right, it's just a whole thing, and like, how are you gonna pay for it? Can you get district pay for it? Like, I mean, and I'm offsetting that, like, because I mean, my district actually does, despite how small we are, take care of their coaches and give us certain dates for professional development, for coaching, and for clinics. And I'm trying to figure out, like I kind of told you, like, I mean, I obviously I run my own clinic. Like, there's no secret about that. That's gonna be later this year. I'm
Right.
I'm I'm participating in the Wings and Things clinic, which by the time this comes out, is probably already good done. So, but you can find my the 2 clinics I did there. I'm on the state board for Ohio High School clinic, so there's that. But like, I don't really go to Glaziers anymore unless I'm working them, like as a introducing or helping with something.
Right.
I would love to go to the Harding one, but just because it's Wednesday and Thursday, it's not going time wise works out. I don't know if the National Flexbone Clinic's too far. Um, I've been to the Virginia one before. It's pretty good. National Wing T Clinic just doesn't time up with me, right?
Hmm.
So it's I would love to go to. I wish they would bring back the Cool Clinic in person, but I
That'd
don't.
be cool.
It's not sounding like just with the recruiting schedule. Supposedly, it's because of recruiting schedules and some other things, but whatever. Um, yeah. And I'd love to go to Africa one year, but it's always A in the middle of a week, which sucks, and B the past couple years it's been too far away.
Yeah. Um, Me and Eric are trying to figure out if we can do a live podcast at the one in Chicago. Um, I keep tagging Glazier, and one time they responded saying, "We'll DM you." And I talked to Carrick. He goes, "Screw it. We're just going to set up a table somewhere and just do live podcasts there." And I was like, "Perfect. We'll get the equipment out and go." So that might be fun. Just coaches walking by, like, "Come here, sit down. Come here, sit down."
Probably they probably would do is make you buy a booth or table. But if you did that, then I would see, to me, that's where you do that. Like it'd be a thing like me and you, and maybe like one other podcast. You like buy a table, like a sponsor
Mhm.
table, and then we just do live podcasting and interviews throughout the day, just sitting at the table as people go in and out. Stop some of these Glacier people, work out with them, and
Mhm.
uh, that would be the way to do it because that's what they're going to do. They're going to make you buy a table, which I get. Like if you're going to be in the middle of the hallway that we've rented out.
Yeah, but we also said we'll just find a corner. Like, there's a way to do it without
Yeah, or you can set it up like in the hotel room that you're in, and just bring people up there throughout the day. It's not that would be another way. I've thought about doing that from our state clinic before. Is just doing some live stuff from up there, but I'm usually so dang busy because I work it that it's not always feasible.
Yeah, we don't know. I have to check my basketball schedule, but we keep talking about it, and he's like, he's all in if we can do it, and I've got everything for it. But we got to figure out which Chicago one because you got 2 weekends of it. Um, but we don't, like I said, we don't go to clinics either. We'd love to go to one out of state, but we're not in a situation where they're going to pay for it. So, like the RPR fundraising, um, that we'd have to go like pay for ourselves. They might pay for the hotel, but that's it. Everything else is on us. That's just where we're at. I've been at schools that pay for everything else.
Yeah,
That's just where we
I
are.
mean it is. I mean it's just economics at that point. So I mean it is what it is. So
Well, it also depends. I think if we said, "Hey, we're going to Indiana," they'd be like, "Oh, okay." Now, if we're going to like Florida or Texas, they'd be like, "Hold on a second, like pump the brakes."
yeah, but those are you go to the local ones so many times before you're like, I've seen all these speakers before, and it's not much different than last year. We need some fresh new ideas, and sometimes you gotta go far away. Like, I mean, Hal Mummy's told that story 18,000 times about the thing that finally took them over the edge for running the air raid was them going down to a school in Florida, recruiting a kicker, quote unquote, and then visiting at our practice and watching their 2 minute drill. And it
Yep.
kind of just changed some stuff. And I mean, that was halfway across the country for them. So
Yep. Um, one of the most fun ones, even though I don't like the coaches anymore, was at the old school I coached at. We went to Cincinnati, and it was great. We were there for 2 days. Um, the guy there called John Gruden right in front of us and put him on the phone, and we talked to John Gruden. Like it just those, even though we had great speakers, it's just the outside things of me and coaches. We walked down the street, found a hole in the wall place to go into. They were all there,
yep.
and the Chicago one's fine, but again, nothing against the speakers. Like I said, that's where I saw Coach Nord, and now we're like coaching friends. That stuff happens, but we would rather just sit around people and talk. I saw people argue for 45 minutes to an hour about power. Like, I love watching that. They were arguing about the read on power. Like, they were just arguing about it. It's a B gap play going into the read to the A gap. And he goes, "No, you read A gap back to B gap and figure it out." And they just argued for about an hour. And I'm just sitting there watching it. And I'm like, I love this. I love just watching people argue.
The last time I was at Glacier, Chicago, I saw a former guy that was 3 years ahead of me in high school that played football with. He's now the O-line coach at one of the Wisconsin D3 schools. So saw that he was there and coaching. I had no idea. So that was nice. And then B, I left with about 70 free Gatorade protein bars.
Mm-hmm. This past one, they were giving out stuff like that and like this popcorn thing that you could fundraise or give to your team, and it was phenomenal. So you have cool
We
things
got,
like that.
we got a lot of free Gatorade bars that we acquired. And that our kids enjoyed, and that's when we buy in mass protein. So I'll just phrase it that way.
Oh no, we all know how clinics work.
Yeah.
Or I had a buddy or Coach Arthur's, he was selling headsets, tried to sell us headsets, and it was like we literally had just bought headsets. He would have had business. We literally just bought new ones. They use those fancy ones that are like $1,000 a piece or whatever. The college ones, that's what they
Yeah.
use. They're like $1,500
Yeah.
for one. For one. Oh, you'll like this if you want to hear money. A school we play in our conference, they keep all the money from concession stands for their football program. So when they played us, they made $8,000. When they played their rival school, they made $13,000. And so when every one of their coaches has those cool fancy headsets, TVs on the sideline, and we're like, "How do you pay for that?" And they told us, and we were like, "Yeah, we shouldn't be in the same conference. You're on a different, you're on a
Different.
different thing."
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I told him, we're lucky we even have Huddle Sideline just on an iPad. Like you guys are on a whole different sphere.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another guy you could talk to is Drinkle.
I've tried. We just can never connect. Like it just never.
I texted him all year. I texted him all year because they were doing the spread, throw it around, and so anytime I saw something bad, I'd screenshot and send it to him, and I'm like, "Look what they're saying."
That's communism. It's not running the veer at a military academy.
Go listen to my podcast with him. He'll answer all your questions. He goes off. He goes off. That's why it's an hour and 40 minutes, but he goes off for like a half hour to 40 minutes. And literally, if you watch the video, he doesn't have the video up. It's just a picture of him. I'm just sitting there like, like he was just,
What for people just reaming them about switching?
well, yeah, because he's like, Steve, because before we hit the record button, he's like, Steve, no limits. You can ask me about changing the offense. I really don't care. You want to know why? It's a recruiting tool. I really don't care. I said, okay. So when we got to it, before I could even ask about anything, he was just,
And
and he went through the history of Army. Like he's smart. Like he went through everything and went through this. And he's like, we're going to base this off of this. Like he just went off about it. And I just loved it. And he goes, people are going after Monken. This has been 4 years in the making. This isn't just something he decided. We've been talking and it was
they
just,
have. I mean, in all seriousness, like as much as I joke that they should run the veer, like they have been making the transition. Like the second you hired Drinkle, like you knew that was the long-term change. Like you don't hire a spread guy with an RPO background to be your tight ends coach if you're not planning long term to make that change. And they were slowly incorporating more and more shotgun stuff.
yeah. But, and he told me he's like, anytime something was going to happen, it's going to be on Twitter. So when I ever found it, I would send it to him. But the first thing he said to me when we hopped on the Zoom was, and this is how smart he is. He goes, Steve, I can't root for you week 9 of your season. And I was like, wait, what? He goes, yeah, I looked at your schedule. I can't root for you week 9. And I said, why? He goes, I recruited 2 kids from that school, so I can't root for you week 9. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, I said, which kids? And he told me, and I was like, so I should cut them every play? And he goes, please don't. Please don't go after their knee.
I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, that's funny though. At least he looked at your schedule because not everybody would do that. So
Well, he used to, he being at the, where was he? Something Wesleyan or whatever.
it's Wesleyan. Yep.
He would recruit in Illinois. He knows the suburbs and stuff like that. So he's talking to Coach Monken about being back in charge of like recruiting in Illinois. So that's why he's like going through it. And um, so he told me that and I laughed. And like you said, I was shocked. I was like, you know my schedule? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you asked me to be on the podcast. I looked who you were, and you're at Addison Trail. And he goes, wait a minute, Addison Trail, I recruited kids from down or south. Okay, I know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh. And so I was like, which kids? So he told me. I ended up cutting the lineman because we were losing by like 40 and they kept him in. And I'm like, oh, you're going to keep him in? Okay, cut. Like, don't keep him in. I'm such a dick. But, and they had the 6'4" receiver that they're getting.
That's nice.
The downside, they said, this is why they got him. The head coach said that the kid can't block, and I told Drinkle, like, yes, he can. I watched him. I watch him block every like on film. He can block, and he goes, I don't care. I'm getting him, and they got
Yeah,
him.
they'll teach him how to block because he's gonna learn how to do stuff correctly because he's at the military academy. It also tells me he's extremely smart if he's getting into the what into West Point. West Point don't like if your grades aren't good enough, you're going to a
Yeah.
military prep school for a year before you're able there. Like I'm in the middle of reading one of the Army Navy books um about the 90s, 60s, and yeah, they go if your grades aren't good enough, you're going to the prep school. Like the
Mhm.
Army ain't messing around with that. Like because it's West Point. Like you're it's a different world.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought that was funny. Like you said, not all those college coaches care. Well, they care, but they're not going to know who you are or like where you're
Yeah.
coaching until you tell them. Uh, it was just a small world. But yeah, if you want all your questions answered, go listen to that one. It's an hour and 40 minutes, but it's he goes off on a rant, and I love it. And there's no filter either. It's the best. And he doesn't care. Does not care.
Well, because I mean, he's going to end up being a head coach at some point, no matter what. Like it doesn't. I don't think it really. Him going off on a podcast isn't going to change anything. It's not like he's ranting about some political issue. So it's just.
Uh, he said whatever he wanted. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I still don't think. I mean, he'll. I mean, God knows he. I mean, if Jeff Monken never leaves there, he could be the next head coach there. You just never know.
Well,
So
that was another thing we talked about was him and Division 1 teams and stuff like that. And um he straight up said he's been called back saying you were one of the best interviewers we've ever done, like ever. But our boosters are saying this. And he straight up said, I'm not running under center or triple option at your school. I'm going to do this. But so he straight up said it on there. He didn't care. He's like, I'm going to tell people. He has been called back by Power 5 schools that he's interviewed at and said, you're the best person to come here and interview. But boosters say this.
but yeah, but you look at him at when he was a head coach and offense coordinator at other schools. Like he didn't run the triple. He
No,
ran power RPO and like whatever, like just dumb. But also that's where you let boosters have too much power sometimes, and um, yeah, I mean it is what it is. So I mean there's a reason. I think it's like Texas Southern still doesn't have a head coach after 46 days, is because their school board and because of a variety of reasons can't agree on a candidate, even though they've tried to offer like two people.
really. I haven't paid any attention to that.
Oh yeah, it's a whole like mess. Like it's like 46 days, and supposedly they want like Andre Johnson to be the next head, like two board members or two boosters, and they're like holding up the whole process. So,
How dumb. How dumb. Just hire the best person. I don't understand it.
or at this point at 46 days, just hire Andre Johnson. I mean at this because you're just destroying a program after 46 days. Um,
Yeah, you're losing kids to the portal. You're like, no.
yeah, like it just I mean it just you're just well in recruiting right now. Like if you're a small school, right now is where you're making your money. Like
Yeah,
I got to call back a coach tomorrow because they called about one of our kids. Like, yeah, I gotta. So,
I did not know that because you've seen me on Twitter. I just go at everybody. Come on the podcast. Come on the podcast. I don't care who it is. I didn't even pay
what
attention.
like between Football Scoop and some tweets, I've seen something about it. It's like it's one of the. I want to say it's Texas Southern. Let me make sure I have that fact correct.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is Texas Southern.
Okay. Maybe
Yeah,
I should apply.
it's a whole thing. So, and I mean, you're talking. Oh wait, no, they're D1. They are lower level D1.
Oh my God. And they're waiting that. Oh, that program will not be around if they don't.
Yeah, it's been 40 because they were supposed to hire Fred McNair from Alcorn, and then I don't know something all yeah, it just turned into a mess. So, and I know yeah, like if you look that up, it's an
If you
interesting little.
if you Google Texas Southern University football coach, Fred McNair's name pops up as the coach,
Yeah.
and it
And
doesn't.
it didn't. So yeah. And then now, according to like if you just pull up social media, schedules another interview with Brett Maxey for head coach position 1 day ago.
They interviewed who?
They're going to interview, I guess, Brett Maxey. I don't know who that is off the top of my head, but um,
So what about the assistant coaches? They are just up in limbo.
I think several of them have left.
Okay,
Yeah, so
four
I don't know.
coaches.
Yeah, so it's a whole thing. That
Okay. I would love to talk to the Texas, um, the Texas State coaches.
I've tried. Like I know the receivers coach. Will try to get him back on because I had him when because he used to be at Washington State.
Yeah,
Um, and I've tried to get a couple of their other ones on. Like their OC's legit, and so is their head coach. And out you've probably never been to San Marcos. San Marcos is beautiful. My mom lives like God 20 minutes from San Marcos. Um, nice stadium, beautiful campus. Like it's pretty cool area. So
yeah. I want to get their O-line coach on. I'm very curious.
yeah. So
I've sent them all messages. They're all very busy, but I send it. I'll wait a month or two and then try again.
yeah, I mean, really, you just get through February, like late. Well, right now they're either on vacation or prepping for Africa, and then like once you get past signing day, and you wait about a week because that first week after um signing day, people go back on vacation or go on vacation for the first time, and then they're usually free for about a month until spring ball starts.
Well, that's what happened here was, hey, send me a message after this first signing day. And then I did. And that's why I've had a couple, but then some are just, I get it. You know, I'm not trying to annoy them. You know how it is. I'll leave them alone for a little bit, then I'll try again.
Well, it's like I'm gonna have Kelly Lee from Eastern New Mexico back on, and he said just wait, just get back, hold me after signing day. Okay, okay, Kelly, no problem.
That's
Yeah,
happened to me a lot is
I I I get it. You're recruiting. Yeah, I'll follow up in February. Got you. No problem.
I'm telling you, if you get like Dickerson on from EIU, he'll straight up just be like, he worked with me. He was on the road. He just got back the day before and he was like, I'll do it tomorrow. Like he was just some coaches are like that and some aren't, but that's
And
okay.
also, I mean, everybody's schedule and how they have it structured is also different. Like, and how what they can fit in. Like, I get it. Like, recruiting is different for everybody right now. Some have gone full NIL portal, some are still high school, and where you're going on the road and like
Mhm.
Army, you're going recruiting nationally. You're not recruiting like a specific part of the country.
Yeah.
So you're a little different than I don't know, like Ohio Dominican. Like it's a vastly a
Yeah.
different ballpark. So um yeah. So
Or like Matt Mummy. He told me to wait till the spring, like March. He told me that
yeah.
before. He's fishing right now.
I need to get Hal back on. That's another one I need to reach out to.
Matt's good. Matt's good. He'll do it.
Yeah, well, I think Hal, I like Hal because Hal just tells stories and it's just great. Like he's got so much experience that it's just
And then if Mealy gets a job, he'll do it. I feel very bad for him that he lost a job at Mississippi State. Um, but he's awesome.
yeah.
It's not scheme stuff. If you want to hear Mike Leach stuff, he's been with Mike Leach since Washington State. So you want to hear stuff, he's got it for you. Some you probably can't record though.
I mean, I would love a 30 for 30 or like a mini series on Mike Leach. Like,
They got to, I would think.
well, at that point, it's not the family's decision from rights and stuff. Like, and I'd get it if they don't want to, because now you're going to have to go be on camera and talk about that, and God, that's gotta be terrible. Just how suddenly you lost them, and it just sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, Matt's got stories, of course. Mealy's got a ton of stories.
I think
Um,
Bill Mealy.
Um, oh, another podcast I enjoyed was Piscopo. I had him on. I liked it.
Good. I've never been. Like, that's another one that just schedules have never worked out as we try to get them on.
Ours never did until finally it was the summer that it finally clicked.
Some
But
in what's it called? I said earlier, Drinkle. It just schedules have never like quite aligned, or something just doesn't happen, or somebody's busy, and just is what it is. Like I said,
I'm also
it's like
very versed into the air raid world. So when I had Mummy on or Piscopo, I was very quick in like figuring out what to talk about. Um, cool thing with Matt was I said something about true air raid, and he's like, "What's true air raid? Like, can you tell me what that is?" And I'm like, "No, I'm asking you." And so it was just like we all know what air raid is, but as long as you have like if then things, if you're able to find space, that's what air raid is to him. And so like he's pistol, like they're all pistol, and he was like, this is why, and they'll run the football and this stuff, and so it was pretty cool.
it's evolved a lot. But I mean, that's the same thing with like teams that still run the flex bone. I mean, they're an evolution of the wishbone. I mean, it's just everybody evolves, everybody adapts, everybody changes. Not everybody's going to be pure or like what the original copy was.
Yeah,
I mean, Mike Leach, I mean, was probably your closest thing at that point. Him and Hal, when Hal runs stuff, are probably the closest. Just like, I mean, most run and shoot teams aren't what they were 30 years ago. It just
right.
it evolves, changes. You adapt to what you're seeing and what your athletes are.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming back. Love just talking. Uh,
Yeah,
everybody subscribe to his channel, even though it's booming. So just he's the YouTube guy. He's
I
the
don't know if it's
YouTube
booming,
clinic
but it's
guy.
there. It's
Uh,
it's it, it's growing. So
Coach, thanks for coming back on. Everybody subscribe to his channel, follow him on Twitter, all that good stuff, so we can keep kicking my ass in that field.